All right, we are finally live after a week away. Welcome to the Xbox 2 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Randall Thor 19, man with the million, and you can see what I'm talking about there. I actually have a new image with that little achievement thing there, so hopefully I don't get any more questions about that. Made by the one and only Colt Eastwood, which he did for me as a surprise. I didn't even know he was making it. But anyways, enough about that. I'm going to introduce my co-host, Ches Corden of Windows Central. What is going on, buddy?
Hey man, it's all good in the hood, so to speak. Just chilling. Had a nice chill day today. I wrote a nice piece yesterday that did well for me, which means I could relax a bit today.
Yes.
But
Which we are going to talk about. The console war is over for Xbox, at least according to Ches Corden. It's over.
Well, that's not. You didn't read it, did you?
I mean, I didn't get a chance to. No, I was pretty busy.
No,
But you're going to explain it all to us, and we'll have a nice discussion about it.
Yes, we will. Sure, why not? It has graphs and charts in.
Ooh, graphs and charts. Those are my fave.
Yes, indeed. They're important, graphs and charts. Because they back up your rhetoric with facts. Something YouTubers struggle with.
You mean to tell me YouTubers don't always deal with facts? They make stuff up sometimes?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
So how's the last couple weeks been for you? Because last time we did a podcast, which was actually the very beginning of the month, it was July 3rd, because we did it on a Wednesday. July 4th was the holiday here in America. So, it's been what, 16 days? How you been?
Been good, man. Up and down. But doing better now. Got all my work in order. Got lots of things in the pipeline, planning, moving forward, and all that sort of stuff. Playing games. Playing lots of games, actually. I was in a rut for the past 2 weeks where I didn't really feel like playing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been sort of mindlessly grinding in WoW.
I definitely know that. I definitely know that feeling because I was in a gaming funk for a while. But before we talk about all that, I just want to give a shout out to the people in chat. I see Nick, who has been kind of, I don't know. He's the guy I've been talking to about Bloodborne. I've been updating him with my progress regarding Bloodborne.
I want to hear from you about Bloodborne.
We're talking about Bloodborne. So shout out to Nick. He's here. The Finest is here. Gunstar is here. Casual Gamer 4545, Clarissa. Bone, and I'm sure a whole bunch of people, the random guy, people will all basically, fill the room as the podcast gets going. I would appreciate it if you guys share this out because YouTube doesn't anymore. It kind of sucks. Hit the like button, beforehand, as that does help out the show. All that good stuff. Sajibot's here. See, people are rolling in here. But yeah, gaming funk. I was in one, man. I know exactly how you feel. I always get it in a gaming funk a couple times a year. So what was yours like? You just kind of sat there and didn't want to play anything, and then finally it was over and you started playing stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was just like I boot something up and be like, oh, I can't be bothered to play this. And I boot something up and be like, oh man, I just can't get back into this right now. And then just end up either like jumping back on World of Warcraft and doing something mind-numbingly boring just to occupy my brain, or doing some work, or lying in bed with Reddit.
Yeah.
But I broke the spell. It was actually the Monster Hunter World Iceborne trailer that broke the spell. The latest trailer showed off Glavenus, a returning monster from an older game in Iceborne, who has a giant sword-like tail, like a T-Rex with a sword for a tail. And he looks so badass. I highly recommend people check out that new Monster Hunter World Iceborne trailer. And then I started playing Monster Hunter again. And then from that, I started playing Overwatch again. And then just got back into gaming again on Xbox. So there's that. Also, I've been... are we talking about what we've been playing now?
Well, no, I mean, we were just kind of talking. I mean, the gaming funk thing is interesting because I'm sure most people go through that. I went through my own.
Yeah, what happened with you in the gaming funk then?
I don't know. It just one day I was just like, I don't really feel like playing anything. I get on the Xbox, I'd just be like, I just don't know what I want to play. And then I have the PlayStation and the Switch, and it was just like, maybe it's because I have so many options to choose from. Like I got all the big
I
time
think
place,
that's part of it too. Like I bought the Switch, and I bought all the major exclusives. I bought the PS4, and I bought all the major exclusives. And I've still got a huge backlog on my Xbox. And I just bought I bought a Razer Blade with an RTX 2060 in. So I have loads of PC games that I couldn't play before because the Surface Book 2 simply wasn't powerful enough. And then it's like, oh my god, where do I even start? So I've just been playing like new Super Mario Brothers on my Switch and Minecraft.
Isn't there like a term for that? Like where you have too many choices, you get paralyzed and you don't make any choice?
Oh,
I think there is like an actual term for that. Plus, I think the games I was playing up to a certain point, I just wasn't really feeling them. Like Rage 2, I found to be mediocre. Days Gone was a bit mediocre. So I was like, I wasn't really playing any, like the games I was playing were kind of just and it was just like, but then like what really kicked me out of it was Katana Zero on the Switch.
Which, right, yeah, I need to check that game out.
Freaking amazing. If you guys have a Switch or if you have PC. Switch? Yeah, it's only on Switch or PC. Okay. God, I need this game to come to Xbox because I will play it again. It needs to go to PlayStation so more people can play it. Oh my god, it's so good, dude. Like, and it kind of reinvigorated me. I did that game. I did Hollow Knight, and I'm doing Bloodborne, and it's like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Good games after good games. And it all started with Katana Zero, which I cannot recommend enough. And definitely that game's going to be in my top 10 this year because it is damn good.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement if I ever heard one. I'm going to look it up right now. Katana Zero on Steam. It's £12, which is probably about $15, give or take. It looks really, really cool. It's
like a Hotline Miami type of game. You play as an assassin who has like precognition. He can like the way the game sets it up is like you do your moves and you kill these enemies in one hit, but you also die in one hit. But it's got this really incredible graphical style with some awesome music, and the way the game plays, it makes you feel like a badass. And when you die, it's like you don't actually die. It's just like, oh, that precognition was wrong. Run it again. So it's like because you can kind of see into the future, it's like you're planning your route about how you're going to kill all these guys that have machine guns and shotguns and all that stuff. Damn. And then you finally figure it out, and it's like, oh, it's done. It's really cool. I definitely recommend people checking that out. But we have a super chat question from Mage Rage. Thank you. He says, "Hey, Rand and Jez, do you guys think Xbox going third party is a real possibility? Financially, it might make the most sense for them, in my opinion."
We're gonna talk about that in a bit.
Oh yeah.
So stay tuned for the more detailed response to your question, because that does seem to be coming up quite a bit. But
it definitely does. It definitely. I mean, you can't really help it. I mean, you see like Cuphead with the Xbox Live functionality coming to the Switch. You see all of Microsoft's first party games going to Steam, and with them talking about how they want to put their games everywhere. Their motto of like, you want to play a game, play it on any device, anywhere with people you want. People assume that eventually that'll lead to maybe games on PlayStation. So it's a concern that a lot of Xbox gamers have, especially console gamers. But like you said, we'll talk about that in depth pretty soon. So what are we going to be talking about this episode? Well, Gears 5, a lot of Gears 5 stuff. Since we didn't have a podcast last week, I don't know if you the whole smoking thing. We got to talk about
missed the whole smoking thing.
We got to talk about that. We'll talk about the tech test and the long queues for the tech test. Let's say at one point I had a 6-hour wait to get into the server.
Do you want to know something, Rand?
What?
I don't have a queue to get into the tech test.
Oh, you bastard, you. How not? How not? Do you get like priority server access, perhaps?
Maybe.
Damn, I see how it is. I was wondering why some streamers and some people were playing, but others weren't.
Yeah, I think like
got that priority access. What is that part of? Like Gears Super Ultimate or Ultimate Super Edition that you?
I think it's just for content creators. I think so they can actually create the content.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna test what the queue's like for me right now. Maybe they didn't even add, they said they were going to add me to the priority list, but let's see if they even did. But like, what else have you been playing besides Katana Zero then, my dude?
Right. So we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, but let's get into the games. It's the most important part of a video game. I mean, look, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't enjoy playing video games. I wouldn't, have a YouTube channel if I didn't love video games. So that's why we always do the what you've been playing thing first. Shout out to Zach for the super chat. It says, will Phil be remembered as Xbox savior or killer?
Oh God.
You see, the way, if I would answer this question, I'm sure a lot of people, someone will clip it and probably turn it into something. But I think savior and killer are two kind of I think they're too loaded of terms. I don't think he's the savior of anything, and I don't think he's the killer of anything. I think he's just a dude running the division as best as he sees, that fits within the Microsoft framework of what Microsoft wants to accomplish with gaming. And I do feel, though, that there was a point in time, and you can ask Jez this, and you can ask Tim Dog, where I was incredibly concerned about the direction Xbox was going. And I wasn't really sure Xbox was going to really even make it that far into the future, because I didn't think they were going to invest. But clearly, you listen to Satya Nadella, and he seems to be pretty much 100% behind gaming. So I'm going to say it's a good thing. I don't really believe in the whole savior thing in any form of my life. So I just think I think Phil's doing what he thinks he has to do to make Xbox a viable brand and to adhere to what Microsoft is overall doing as a corporation. Is that a good enough answer?
I actually do think he's the savior of Xbox.
Okay, well, someone's going to clip that, and then they're going to run it on Twitter.
I don't care.
Like, listen to this filthy Xbot. He thinks Phil's the savior.
I don't care. They can clip me. They can put me on blast, whatever. But if someone had come in who wasn't Phil, and they were trying to compete head on with Sony, they would be losing so badly, and they just wouldn't be able to do it. Like, this is what my whole article is about, is Xbox growing horizontally, because they can't take on Sony head on. So anyone who tried to take Sony head on, it would have been complete fail. So
yeah, I mean,
hey, people can disagree, but these are the facts.
I mean, Microsoft tried going head to head with Sony. It didn't work the previous two generations, even though the 360 did extremely well. So I think, I think Microsoft had to do a different approach. So yeah, that's what I'm going to say. But let's get back into games. So Katana Zero, what did I play after that? I played a little test called Bleeding Edge, a little tech test.
I also played a little tech test called Bleeding Edge.
We both played Bleeding Edge?
Yeah, we did.
And what do you think about... Now, there is an NDA for Bleeding Edge. You can't take pictures, you can't share screenshots, you can't have videos. However, they do let you talk about the game. So, Bleeding Edge, Jez, is this game a bargain bin trash dumper of a game that Phil found outside the back offices of Ninja Theory when scouring for stuff to put onto Game Pass? Or is this actually a quality title that will be coming out presumably early next year?
I think it's rough right now, I would say. I think it does need some work. But like you said, there's no planned launch date for the game. So it's going to be quite a while away, I would say. On that basis, I think the game has a really strong base. Like the fact that my girlfriend came in and said, "Oh, you're playing Overwatch." She just thought it was Overwatch because it has that sort of same charm, the strong character direction, the really, really interesting sort of team-based play and stuff like that. I do think it needs a lot of work. I thought it was, I don't know if you had this problem, Rand, but it was super laggy when I was playing it.
It worked. I mean, that might be like the server you're connecting to, but it was perfectly fine for me.
Okay.
However, I'm gonna say this right now. This game's not for everybody. There are people who are going to play this game and they'll play 2 matches and never play it again. They'll uninstall it. This game is definitely is a has a niche for sure. Like if you want if you want a single player game, this ain't it. We all know that, right? But you know what this really reminded me of? Um,
Yeah.
it really reminded me of like PvP Smite.
Yeah, Smite is a good analogy. It's sort of like it's like an arena Smite, isn't it? Like the controls are quite similar to some of the heroes in Smite. Um, yeah, I think that's a pretty strong analogy. Like a lot of people were saying, like I got this comment a few times at E3, like why did Microsoft fund this? But why does Microsoft fund this? But they didn't fund Gigantic. Remember Gigantic?
Yeah, I remember Gigantic. Yeah, it was a game that they promoted, and then all of a sudden,
Dropped.
like, yeah, the studio went under and it dropped. But let me reiterate and explain. When I say Smite, I don't mean the MOBA aspect of Smite. I don't mean the towers and the creeps. I mean like strictly the God versus God PvP. Like they move, like your characters move slow, and they each have 3 abilities plus an ultimate. And considering when you get ganged up, like I played as Damon, like the striker or the assassin, it's really hard to take on 2 enemies at a time, let alone 3. You'll get destroyed. So it really felt like, okay, I'm going in and I have my healer behind me healing me, or the tank or whatever, and you get in there, get a couple swipes in, use one of your abilities, and then has a cooldown timer. It really kind of felt like Smite PvP. Uh, you know, at least that's what the impression I got. However, I will say it's incredibly polished for the state it's in. The tech test that I played, like that game
Yeah,
could probably come out tomorrow. I it,
it is polished. Like I won't put it down on that basis, but I don't know if the servers are just in America or something. But like for a melee based game, I felt it was too laggy on my end. I mean, that might have been me, but like I was playing Monster Hunter World and Overwatch really fine this week. So, but I had big problems with bleeding edges latency. But maybe it's just because there's no European servers or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, I think it could be something. I'm intrigued to see how it goes. But
yeah. I
I don't think it's going to be massive. I don't think it's.
no.
I don't know though. Maybe it'll be. Is it free to play? Do we know that?
That's the thing. When I was playing it, and shout out to the Osmond for the super chat. It says, "Great show. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Thanks for the support, buddy." When I was playing it, I said to my buddies who I was playing it with, I was like, "Hey, this game is a $20 game and can't be more than $30. But realistically, it probably should be free to play." I don't
Yeah,
know if it
I
is
think it
because
really could be free to play.
it's that kind of, I don't know. The Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. Like.
Oh yeah, I suppose. There's
So I
that
mean,
point.
like, I would imagine that it's probably going to be, I don't know. I would say 30. I'd probably, if I had to guess today, if they have 11 heroes and only a few maps, I'd say $20. Um, but
I
yeah,
think
I
like
mean,
the best hope that game has is to go free to play and hit Steam with
I think
crossplay.
it'll come to Steam. Like, look, I know a lot of people in chat aren't going to like the game. I enjoyed what I played of it, but I can't see myself playing it for long. And you definitely need to have teammates that are going to communicate if you want to actually not get destroyed. Because the first game, me and my buddy Leadbuck Gopher, we didn't know what we were doing, and well, they don't even have a party system in the tech test yet, or whatever, the alpha. I think they're calling it a pre-alpha or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I got like ganged up on and destroyed, but they'll probably work through that. I actually like the way it looks. The music is phenomenal. Like the music is really good. It looks good. There's no HDR in it yet, but I'll check out some more of the tech tests. But yeah, that's Bleeding Edge. What else? What else did I play? Oh, I played Hollow Knight. I finished Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah, you were raving about that.
Dude,
A lot of people really love that game, but I've never really given it a chance. Tell us
yeah.
about.
So Hollow Knight is a weird experience for me, right? It is basically 2D Dark Souls, right?
Really?
2D Dark Souls, and I liked the first 4 out. Like I liked the beginning of the game, but I didn't love it. And my buddy Nick at Xbox he's been nagging me for months about playing this game. In my DMs, you need to play Hollow Knight. You need to play Hollow Knight. You need all the time when I'll get to it, and he's always like, bah. Like, you need to play Hollow Knight, right? So I was like, all right, fine. I finally, here comes summertime, backlogs, you got a whole bunch of stuff. No real, new games are coming out. So boom, I'm playing Hollow Knight. The beginning is very slow. The beginning is the worst part of the game. And I know Salty will probably agree with me because he has a review up on his channel and he loves the game. But I think for most people, the beginning is probably the worst part of the game because you don't have any abilities. Like it's a Metroidvania that, you eventually acquire double jump and dash and super dash and a whole bunch of these abilities that let you, explore, which is the big focus of the game is exploration. And with the way the map's set up about like how you need to get to an area, find the map maker, buy it, but then actually buy a compass so you are on the map. It took a little bit to get going, but finding when I hit City of Tears, which is about 4 hours in the game, it clicked for me and I could just not put that game down. And I love it. I honestly love it. Like if I had to go back and redo my game of the year for last year, since that's when it came out for Xbox and when I played it, it would be in my top 5. It would probably be number 4. I love Hollow Knight. I am now extremely looking forward to their next game, Hollow Knight Silk Song, which I think is coming to Switch and PC, I think this year, but it'll probably get delayed to 2020. God, oh, man, like the way the game looks, the combat, which is good. It's not great, but it's good. But the lore, the atmosphere, the music, it is just an outstanding game and it's like Team Cherry's like 3 or 4 people. So, oh man, I love that game. I can't rave about it enough. And it's on Game Pass for those of you who have the service and maybe are looking for a game that's gonna. I think it took me like 40 hours to beat. So it's got a lot of content in there,
Yeah. I'm gonna give that a go.
Anything else you want to talk about playing before I get into the big one?
I don't know. I haven't really played anything new, really. I've been
World
playing
of Warcraft
again.
World
of Warcraft.
Sajibot would probably love you talking about World of Warcraft. He says he's farming in it now.
well, yeah, I've been playing that and doing the new raid. It's back high up on Twitch because it's the whole the race to kill a boss first time, sponsored by Red Bull, I believe. So that's back on top of Twitch for the next week or so, and then it will drop off the face of the earth after the race is over. But what else? Not a huge amount. I've just been playing random things here and there. Nothing particularly new. I'm looking forward to trying out the Gears 5 tech test this weekend. Probably jump on straight after the podcast. I've never really gotten into Gears PvP personally, but like the new arcade mode sounds a bit more accessible to ease you into the play style. So I'll definitely give that a go. I checked out that auto chess thing. Have you seen that? That's been sort of trending.
The auto chess. What's that?
League of Legends team fight tactics, I think it's called.
So League of Legends. What? No, I haven't seen anything. No.
Okay, so like this new League of Legends spin-off, Team Fight Tactics. Basically, what you do is you get a bunch of the heroes from League of Legends, and you just let them fight each other. At the very basic sort of way, and the AI does the matches for you. Like that's like really big on Twitch right now. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it, man.
But no, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, it's like a trending game, I suppose. But yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. I think that's probably gonna grow in popularity, and you'll start to see a lot of rip-offs and stuff in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I'm sure there's been other stuff that I've been playing that I just can't think about off the top of my head. But yeah. The gaming funk is over, so I'm looking
gaming funk is indeed over, and we have Wolfenstein next week. I believe Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is out now on the Switch.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to a game called Planetfall that's coming out for Xbox soon as well. It's
Ooh,
like XCOM meets Civilization with robot zombies, cyborgs, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So if you like strategy games, that's a game to look out for on Xbox soon.
right.
Planet, I think it's got Age of Wonders Planetfall, I think it's called. Um, but yeah, I'm just sort of waiting for Gears now. I'm waiting for the next big game that's going to take up all my time.
Yeah,
Like
I am. I'm looking forward to Wolfenstein next week. Although I'm kind of a little cautious about that game. I'm not sure what to really expect from it, but I love Wolfenstein, so I'm going to be playing it. Um, I'm really looking forward to Control. I don't care what anybody says. I love Remedy. They're one of my favorite developers. I adored Alan Wake. I really enjoyed Quantum Break. I'm there day one for Control. And then there's Supermassive's next game, Manamadan, the Dark Pictures Anthology, which comes out
oh
like
yeah,
3 days
that's
later.
people
So
are excited for that.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then there's Gears, right? But shout out to Sathwick K for the super chat. He says, "Hi Rand, how you doing? Have a great weekend. Hope you are hope you have a great weekend as well." And Anthony Porter says, "Gears 5 Game of the Year." I hope so. I mean, I hope the game's great, and I'm sure everybody in here probably wants the same. They want Gears 5 to be amazing. And we'll talk about the text test because I actually got into it and played the boot camp mode. But I want to talk about Bloodborne because people have been on me to play Bloodborne for a long time, Jez. Right? And I've
So
always I've been ducking them. But like I don't know. I'm not a Souls dude. And then I played Sekiro and everything changed. Right now currently Sekiro is my game of the year. So people were like, "Oh, you need to play Bloodborne now. You love Sekiro." So I'm like, "Yeah, but Bloodborne's got stamina-based combat, and I really like the deflect and parry system in Sekiro, you know."
yeah,
But I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a chance."
I
Oh
need to I
God,
need to get around to Sekiro. I killed like the first boss, I think, and then I just hadn't gone back to it. Ah, it was during that.
uh,
Oh, actually, that's one game I've been playing. Blazing Chrome. Have you seen that?
yeah,
Like a sort of modern retro Contra sort of game. Oh, and Anthony Port says, "What do you think of Blair Witch? Are you going to play that, Blair
yeah.
Witch?"
Shout out to Anthony Porter for the super chat. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna play Blair Witch. I think that game looks cool. I liked Bloober Team.
They're good
I
deal.
liked Observer, so I'm really interested in seeing how Blair Witch is going to be. But yeah, man, like, so I load up Bloodborne, and I love the atmosphere off the bat. Like the gothic setting that it has is to me a lot more interesting than the Japanese setting in Sekiro. So already, like, wow, I'm loving the gothic
Whoa.
cathedrals and stuff like that, and even the
Why do you
enemies.
hate
Like,
anime?
I don't hate anime. I'm just saying personally, I think the gothic style setting and some of the enemies, like the werewolf stuff, because there's this hunt going on and all this creepy Cthulhu stuff. Like I've been posting pictures on Twitter, right? That stuff is great. The atmosphere is top notch. The music's amazing. I was a little bit concerned about the combat because I really enjoy Sekiro and I played it a specific way. But Bloodborne wants you to be just as aggressive with its combat as Sekiro is. So I gotta say, I am enjoying Bloodborne way more than I ever thought I would. Like, I didn't think I'd like these games. And last night, I beat the One Reborn, and I made it to Castle Cairn, which is like a snowy, like secret map or secret level, which is like this is a level that's pretty long that actually has a boss that most people probably don't even actually find because you need to get a specific item from an area and then actually take it to another part of the world to get invited to. And I'm like, wow,
I
this
love
is
little secrets like that. Not enough games
yep.
do secrets like that.
No, they don't. They not enough. But there's like 3 other areas like that are secret, and you have that boss fight on the roof. I think I beat him my
Rough.
second try, like on the roof of the castle, this like snowy castle. You fight
Rough.
this guy.
Is
Roof,
that
roof.
is that how Americans
I don't
pronounce
know
things?
if it's how I say it, and I say things wrong. Don't forget, I was in speech
Rough.
class for so long. Okay, okay.
Eh,
So
okay.
so
Blame
I
it on
beat
that.
that boss my second try. That's the one thing I've been noticing about this game. I streamed it a couple times on the YouTube channel. just to kind of test that stuff out. I want to do more streaming, but I don't want to stream directly from the PlayStation. I'd rather get like an Elgato, but the current setup is a little bit different now. However, this game, I don't know what it is. It's easy, and I don't mean easy.
What one?
Yeah, like
I'm gonna play them.
No, I don't mean it's easy.
Right.
It's easier than.
Rand says Bloodborne's easy.
No. It's
Rand's a pro gamer.
I don't know if it was Sekiro, me playing Sekiro first and being forged by the fire that is that game, and then playing Bloodborne. I am beating bosses either my first try or my second try. Like I beat the Cleric Beast my fourth try. I beat Father Gascon my third try. Like it is not a difficult game, or at least nowhere near as difficult as Sekiro was. But then again, from everything everybody tells me, they're kind of like Dark Souls is the hardest, and then Dark Souls 2 is easier, and then Dark Souls 3 is easier, and then Bloodborne's pretty easy, and then Sekiro's like super hard. So yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I think Nick said I have like 8 hours left, but I'm gonna try to go to all the different areas in the game. And wow, we got a bunch of super chats in here. So
super chat spam.
Anthony Porter says Sony needs to reboot SOCOM to compete with Gears 5, and maybe they will. There's that talk that Guerrilla's making another game, and Jim Ryan himself says they want to do more multiplayer. Luca says, "Are you going to get the Old Hunters DLC?" Also, what's up, boys? What's up, Luca? Maybe I'm going to get the Old Hunters DLC. We shall see. Awesome. And Sajibot says, "I'll buy you an Elgato." Well, thank you very much, Saji. I appreciate it. I gotta read.
You don't need to buy Rand an Elgato. He's a YouTube millionaire.
Well, I mean, no, I'm not a YouTube millionaire. I don't.
Rand can just sell one of his Ferraris.
Yeah, you sell my Ferraris. I did make one purchase for Prime Day. I bought.
Prime Day.
I bought.
Can we not talk about Prime Day, please?
Okay, I'll tell you what I bought. It was your recommendation, by the way.
Oh, is it really?
Okay. Yeah, I bought the Samsung T5 portable SSD for the X.
Oh, nice. Did you buy it through my article?
I did, actually, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got a kickback. Yeah.
So
the site did, not me.
I hooked up the SSD to the X last night. I loaded up Forza Horizon and I tested it.
And wait, why did you buy the Samsung? The Seagate was cheaper.
It was cheaper by like $20, and I already have all Seagates, so it's just like I wanted something different. I liked how the Samsung one looked.
Samsung one was smaller, wasn't it? Like it's really small. Strangely. Okay, fair enough.
So I loaded up Forza Horizon 4. My game loaded in 20 seconds. Zalker's game loaded in 1:25. So just one game. I mean, I haven't played a lot because I've been playing Bloodborne, but that I
actually have I have an article that compares the loading speeds of a few games between SSD and hard drive, and it is like it's still bottlenecked a bit by the by some aspects, like the USB maybe or something. I don't know, but it is like significantly faster. Like the Division loads significantly faster on SSD and stuff like that. But they ain't cheap. They ain't cheap.
I mean, it was on sale, which is why I bought it. But but Bloodborne, like the one negative I'll say about it is the frame rate's bad. Even on the Pro, the frame rate is not very good. It has a lot of frame pacing issues. It dips down, especially when there's a lot of enemies on screen. I really wish they would have prioritized 60 frames over the resolution. But maybe, with the PlayStation 5, they go back and maybe update it and it can run at 60 frames. That's really the only blemish that stains otherwise a great game. Like, I don't think it's as good as Sekiro, but it's a fantastic game. And I know Salty's here, and I think he just got a PlayStation, so he's experiencing #greatness for the first time, playing Spider-Man and loving it. Spider-Man's a great game. And I don't know if you saw, Jez, Spider-Man outsold Batman as the best-selling superhero game of all time.
Damn.
On one platform versus multi, but he loves the Souls games. He loves Sekiro. He played Ashen. He plays all those games. So, Salty, you need to get your hands on some Bloodborne and play that, because I have a feeling you're going to really enjoy that game. So, yeah, that's been pretty much what I've been playing, man. Bloodborne.
You know what's harder than Bloodborne?
What?
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. Nope. The only two people who care about World of Warcraft in the world right now are in my chat. We have Jez, you in the podcast, and Saji listening, farming in World of Warcraft.
I need to speak to Saji about some World of Warcraft sometime.
Yeah.
But maybe me and Saji will make a World of Warcraft podcast, and just the two of us, and we'll just listen to it by ourselves.
Yeah. So yeah, so we got like 406 people watching. That's the end of the games played. So as we move into the topics, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure you hit that like button and share this out. We greatly appreciate it. So we're going to talk about Gears 5 right away. Shout out to Anthony Porter. He says Ashen is that hidden of a gem. It's a hidden gem of the gen. It's a good game. I did a video. That's kind of was my first Souls game, but yeah. Gears 5 tech test, Jez. But not only tech test, Gears 5 marketing. And not only marketing, Gears 5 no smoking. A lot of things to digest here. Which one do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the smoking thing? Since it's kind of like...
Yeah, we can talk about the smoking thing. Like, my immediate reaction was, oh, that's so dumb. Because, like...
okay.
That was my initial reaction. Because it just felt like it was just part of this whole trend to sort of sanitize any grit out of games, even if it means the games still have chainsawing people in half. But then what the original articles covering this didn't talk about was the fact that this was actually, rather than being sort of like a higher Microsoft decision where they're like, because Microsoft has concerns about the way games are perceived in terms of health right now, because the World Health Organization recently said that games are addictive, and there was this little quip that Phil Spencer said at E3 where I think it was AC Bongos. AC Bongos was describing a game as addictive, and Phil Spencer joked, "Oh, we don't call games addictive anymore." And it was a joke, but it's sort of like there was a hint of truth in there, whereas like at a PR level, they probably don't want to call games addictive anymore because there's a health connotation to that. So when I heard like they didn't want to include smoking in Gears, it made me think, oh, they're sanitizing it because they're worried about the perception of games being unhealthy and stuff like that. And like I don't smoke. I've never smoked in my whole life. But like, I still think it's cool and badass when you've got like a character with a cigar, like spraying a Gatling gun and stuff like that. Like, can you imagine, like in StarCraft 2, for example, like the main character's iconic cigar, or Big Boss? He's or like, can you imagine Metal Gear Solid if it didn't have the cigars?
Sergeant Johnson in Halo.
Yeah, it's like that stuff. So I thought this was part of a bigger trend to sanitize Gears. And then it just struck me as hypocritical because you can stab people in the head with a knife in Gears, which is a bit more violent than smoking a cigarette. However, later on it emerged that it was a personal decision taken by studio head Rod Ferguson, who simply didn't want to support an industry that affected him personally. And I think that's fair enough. It's technically his game, it's his studio. And if they decided at a personal level that they didn't want to have any smoking in the game, I think that's fair enough. And you can also you can argue to toss about, the real reasons or whatever like that. But I believe that I think it's fair enough. If an artist doesn't want to put something in their art, then they shouldn't be forced to do it. But my concern was that it was a sort of higher level decision, like a corporate decision, like some suit had made to make Gears look more palatable to critics or something like that, even though you can chainsaw people in half and there's giblets in 4K resolution. That would have annoyed me. But if it's a personal decision, I think that's fine. Like, what's your take on it? If you haven't,
I did a video about it because Variety really screwed up on this one.
They covered
somebody, because I was going back and forth with you in DMs. I'm like, somebody's lying here, Jez, because you're a journalist and you want to get the most correct information and put it out there, right? But before I delve in that, I got to give a shout out to Anthony Porter. He says, shout out to the chat for keeping it real and game on. Appreciate the support. So Variety said it took months to get the smoking removed from Gears, right? And that only after the Truth Initiative went to Turner, who has the broadcasting rights for the E-League, and Turner went to the Coalition, did that begin to happen. They even have a quote from the vice president of sales and esports from Turner saying how long of a process it was to remove the smoking, right? So it sounded like censorship. Dun, 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 big bad censorship. Bad, right? And it was like, okay, this, I smoke too. I smoked for 10, 12 years. I smoked 2 packs a day, Marlboro Red, and I quit. Thank God. I mean, part of it is because I didn't want to do it anymore. I got really sick. And then right now, I started smoking when cigarettes were $1.50, and now cigarettes are $10 a pack, right?
$10 a pack?
Yeah, $10. Well, here where I live, Chicago, they got huge taxes. So yeah, they're really expensive.
Jeez.
So I was looking at it as this really does seem weird. It's Gears has been lacking in marketing for it, since E3 2018. They did that one trailer, then shut up about it. And then they did the trailer at E3 2019, but they didn't show the campaign. They showed the CGI escape, and everyone's like, what's going on? And then there was no talk about Gears for game coming out in September. And it's where's all the marketing for the game? And then the first thing you hear is well, here's smoking. We're not doing smoking, which, hey, great. I think smoking's disgusting. It's a nasty habit. It only brings negative side effects. And I'm always for, if you don't want to put something in your game, don't put it in your game. My thing was don't put smoking in your game, but you don't need to announce it. I thought the announcement was kind of weird. I was just okay, you don't want to don't put smoking in Gears, fine. Don't, but just don't announce it. And because, if there's smoking, it doesn't change anything. But then Rod Ferguson came out and was like, hey, wait a minute. There's never any smoking in Gears for it to be removed. There is no censorship. We never put it in there in the first place, which directly contradicts the story that Variety was pushing, which is what IGN and GameSpot and all these other websites were basing their articles on. So I'm well, somebody's lying here. Either it took months to remove and it was because of Truth Initiative going to Turner and Turner going to Coalition, or it was never there in the first place. And I thought that was a bigger story than them not putting somebody was lying. Variety, and personally, I think it's Variety, and I don't really think they're lying. I think they were probably just misinformed or misheard, and I don't think that's the bigger issue, because here you have a very big website who had the exclusive, who had a quote from Rod Ferguson about this whole thing, and in the article they mentioned twice, and they have a quote from the Turner VP, and they're it was removed. And then Rod's no, it wasn't. We never had it in the first place. And I'm is nobody going to write an article about how Variety might have just, basically wrote a horrible article with a lot of misinformation? It's such a weird thing, but that's behind us now, because everybody's talking about the tech test, because they put out a great trailer a few days ago, promoting the tech test, which you can download if you pre-ordered the game, right? Which you can, if you have Game Pass, you can download it right now. So after watching that trailer, and admittedly, I'm not a multiplayer guy, I got quite excited watching that trailer. I was like, man, this looks pretty cool. I can't wait to try out the arcade mode, because, look, it's been 5 Gears games. If you like Gears multiplayer. And I really don't. I haven't liked it since Gears 1. So I'm interested in seeing how the game controls and what that arcade mode looks like, right? So, I get on at noon. I'm in a party with my friends. And there's a queue to get in, 20 minutes long. Which, fine, whatever. It's a tech test. I know that's what they're testing. And they drop you into boot camp, which is basically the tutorial for the game. And I gotta say, I was impressed from how it controlled, how it looked, running at solid 60 frames. And I'm like, okay, this is the tutorial. It was a pretty good tutorial. I want to see the campaign now because this game looks gorgeous. I'm like, I am now like anticipating Gears 5 more so for the campaign just based on the little small part I played in boot camp. I was like, okay, now it's time to play the multiplayer. So you try to find multiplayer, and the game tells you, oh, if you're inactive for 5 minutes, you get booted back out, and then you have to sit back in the queue, right?
Oof.
So we team up and we search, but it can't find a game or it can't start a server. And then 5 minutes pass because we haven't gotten into a game. I get booted back to out of the game into the queue, and I got to wait again 20 minutes. I get back in. And what do you know? Can't get into a game. Get booted back out to the main menu in the queue. And then what does it say? You need to wait for 6 hours. You need to wait for 3 hours. And I'm like,
Oh dear.
here we
should
go.
Have priority server access like me.
Yeah, I guess I should have. Now, so here's the thing. It's a tech test. Yes, 100%. Much rather have this stuff happening today than on September 6th or September 10th when this stuff is going live. And honestly, even if there was a queue at the launch of the game, it doesn't matter because I'm playing campaign first. Sorry for all you people going into multiplayer first. I'm going in the campaign first. But still, rather have them figure out all the stuff now because, yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think it's because it's tied to Game Pass. They're probably getting a lot more PC gamers than they would have had typically, because they don't have to use the Windows Store anymore. They can just go to the nice Xbox app and get it from there, and they don't have to pay because they can just get a free trial. So like it's the perfect way to get into the tech test is to get it on PC and get a PC Game Pass trial, and then just get it through there. So I think they weren't anticipating how many people they'd be getting.
No, I mean, see, I don't know. Like their Xbox, I'm sure they can see how many downloads of Gears 5 tech test have been since it went live. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you can just play the game out of nowhere and put in a disc. Like, you know how many downloads there have been. And look, like I said, it's a tech test. It'll be fixed. I'm sure everybody will be playing normally over the weekend. It's just, an inconvenience. And yes, I do know that it was promoted as Game Pass is the first way to play. See, that's why a lot of these things are... I know they come out and they say this isn't a demo or a beta or whatever, but it kind of is. At least they marketed it towards that. Like, oh, you can get into the tech test, the first way to play with Game Pass. It's so funny because like
no devs can agree on what a beta or an alpha or a tech test is. Like every dev does it slightly differently, and it's definitely marketing because it's tied up to Game Pass.
So I mean, like, yeah, I tweeted out like, hey, look at me, look at my picture. I had to wait 3 hours, and I didn't wait obviously because I got better things to do, and the podcast that me and Jez were doing. But I was like, well, hopefully it's fixed and this is a problem they can overcome. But at the same time, it's kind of it's not really comparable to the smoking thing, but I'm going to make a comparison anyways. Right? Like Rod said, he doesn't want to glorify smoking, which is fine. That's great. Don't glorify smoking. But at the same time, this is the same Gears of War that has their logo on Rockstar Energy Drink, which is basically poison in a bottle. That leads to obesity and, health decline. I mean, Xbox advertises with Doritos and Mountain Dew. And last year, they marketed with Taco Bell, right? And I know Rod doesn't have any control over the Taco Bell stuff or the Mountain Dew and Doritos things. I'm just saying, I look at both of those and I'm like, smoking's bad for you, yes. But I mean, so is energy drinks, especially if you, overindulge. FC Violence says I'm reaching. Not really. Not really.
I don't think so. I don't think Rand's reaching at all. I think it's like, the thing is, what Rod took this decision by himself, apparently. But what Rod needs to realize is most people don't even know who he is, and he represents Microsoft as a company. And like, if they are like censoring one type of health draining, vice, then why aren't they censoring all of them? It comes across as inconsistent, and I do sympathize heavily with the guy who lost family and friends to smoking, because I have too, and I know lots of other people who have as well. But life is just generally full of hazards, and I don't want to seem insensitive, but it's like it creates an inconsistency across the whole brand in general.
Right.
And as much as I hate smoking too, I think it's a terrible habit, and it sucks how it basically it reduces people below zero and gets them addicted to it, and it doesn't really have any benefits other than to offset the addiction that you've created through smoking. And I know so many people who've got addicted to smoking, like just by accident, and now they have to spend all that money smoking.
Well,
Like my mom smokes like 40 a day, and I constantly worry about like what's going to happen to her in the future, and like everything. Like when I go home now, because like where I live now, no one smokes. But when I visit home, I come back smelling like smoke. Like all my clothes smell like smoke because the whole house smells like smoke because my mom
right.
smokes there.
And I mean, honestly, I started smoking because of peer pressure. I thought it was what the cool kids did, but this was also back in the mid '90s, right? A little bit
Is that
different
why you got
now.
Xbox too?
Yeah, but like, and I know like some people are saying they agree, and they say I'm reaching, and FC Violence says Rand one was a personal decision, but true, all their sponsorships are technically bad. What the point I was trying to bring up is like, and I'll relate it back to the tech test. It's like, on one hand, it's a test. It's a test to get all the servers right, so you have a great experience on launch day for everybody, right? And so they can figure out the problems now. But on the other hand, they are marketing the text test through Game Pass, which you have to pay for. So it's kind of a marketing tool, sort of, just in the way. I know there's not the best comparison whatsoever, but I don't know. It's like, so I'm not like that upset that the Gears 5 tech test didn't work right away at noon. I didn't think it would. I was in the Discord for Xbox era or reset era, Xbox era, whatever they want to call it. Hashtag 20 by 20. Still a believer. And I said, what are the over under for this actually working right away? And people were like, I don't think it's going to work. And sure enough, it didn't work. So, yeah, you deal with the issues now. Hopefully it works the rest of the weekend. And then when the game comes out, because that's when it's going to matter. When people plop their money down and it's officially out, there better not be any issues. And I'm sure there probably will be, although the launches are going to be staggered, right? It'll be out in New Zealand and then the UK and all these other things. And it'll come out on the East Coast. Plus, the people will be playing it early with Ultimate Edition, so not everybody will be out. I'm sure, like, the rollout will be fine, but they need to figure it out now. But after playing the boot camp, after reading the article about the Coalition, which I did a video today where they're like, this is the biggest Gears game we've ever made. It's got the largest campaign. It's got the largest multiplayer, the largest, PvE. There's a ton of content in Gears of War. There's the campaign.
There's an insane amount of content.
There is.
It's just part of Game Pass. It's
And
like 5 games. Well, not 5. Like 3 or 4 games rolled into one. Like any single aspect of Gears could launch into Game Pass as a separate game. Like
Right.
you can have the versus mode, the escape mode. Like escape mode is basically like a game like Deep Rock Galactic or something like that, right?
Yeah, and Eddie T says GameSpot said that Xbox is prioritizing streamers for the tech test. Well, I mean, Jez kind of confirmed that, as he's prioritized as well. I guess I didn't ask to be prioritized. I guess I should have said something. You know what? It's interesting. Like, didn't Bleeding Edge have something like that too? Like priority queue access, as if you got like a code from them or whatever at E3. But back to the point I was trying to make. There's a ton of content in Gears. There is the campaign, which they're saying is the largest ever. But for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, which I don't agree with, they're not showing any of it. And they're not showing any of it until it comes out 2 days beforehand, and nobody's going to want to see it anyways, because why ruin the game, right? So, weird decision. I don't get it, but I'm not running, the franchise. You have the new escape mode. You have the new horde mode, which we haven't seen anything of, which they're debuting at Gamescom. And you have these 10 multiplayer modes. You have arcade, you got King of the Hill, you have execution, you have like arms race, and a whole bunch of other ones I can't even think off the top of my head. It's just packed to the brim with stuff to do. And I have my fingers crossed that it's going to be great. I hope so, because Xbox really, 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 really can actually, maybe they need a W right now. I don't know if anybody in here agrees with me, Jez. They really need a W.
W.
They need a win. They need a win.
That could be interpreted.
They need a game that, look, there's been a lot of criticism about Game Pass and about the games that Microsoft makes, that Game Pass is a place where you put games that are essentially mediocre, games that have problems, games that have content issues, and you can't really complain about them because it's only $1, right? So Xbox really needs to kind of nip that whole thing in the bud, and it's up to them. It's really up to Xbox to do. They have to be the ones to create these games that are great and to show people that, no, that's not true. Like, Gears 5 is out now. We poured a ton of money into it. It's, got everything you want, and it's not hampered by being in Game Pass. But that's completely up to Microsoft. Like, I kind of agree with some of the complaints that were levied against State of Decay 2 at launch. It was a buggy mess. Same thing with Sea of Thieves. There was nothing to do. Look at Crackdown 3. It's like, I get it. 3 of the 4 games that Microsoft launched in the Game Pass, not exactly a shining endorsement of the service, but
this will be like a shining endorsement of the service for.
That's
exactly if it's good, obviously we don't know. It could be terrible, like, but
if it doesn't, I'm not going to want to do the podcast the next day if it's terrible. I'll be like, Jez, podcast is canceled. There's nothing to look forward to. It's canceled.
Well, we've still got Wasteland 3, man.
Okay, sure.
But it's not just going to be an endorsement for Xbox. It'll be an endorsement for Game Pass for PC as well, because obviously that's a big push for Microsoft as they grow horizontally, as we're going to talk about in a bit. So, indeed.
So,
know something? Though.
Are you gonna? You know something?
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
I know people say that you do know stuff, Jez. You do.
Oh, dude, I literally don't know anything anymore. I don't know anything.
Come on, don't lie to the people. You know stuff.
Oh,
don't lie to the people. You know stuff. I know you know stuff.
Well, nothing I can say.
Nothing you can say, huh?
Nothing I can say.
Gears 5. Yeah, I'm gonna try to play some of the tech tests tonight. Hopefully it works. See how it is. I doubt I'm going to like the multiplayer, but I put about 12 hours into Horde. Escape kind of looks cool, but man, I want to see the campaign. And there's this growing sentiment among people out there that somehow if they showed the campaign, it would ruin it. But I don't agree with that whatsoever, because I've been watching game trailers for a long time, and game trailers never ruin games. Sure, a movie trailer might ruin a movie, because sometimes they give away the entire a 2-hour movie in the trailer, but I've never seen a game trailer ruin a game. Like, take one of my favorite games last year, God of War. Sony had like 3 full-length trailers for that. 8 minutes long, 10 minutes long. They had like a 15-minute demo beforehand, and it ruined nothing about the game. So if Microsoft released a 2-3 minute story trailer and released a 5-minute demo from the beginning of the game that showcased why it's the largest Gears they ever built, or some of the changes, it wouldn't like ruin the game at all. I don't think so. Sam says the trailer for Spider-Man gave away too much. I don't agree, but I guess some people agree, some people disagree. And Anthony Porter Got to shout him out again for a couple super chats. He says he bought 100 copies of Rise Son of Rome. I really doubt that. And Cyberpunk 2 versus Last of Us 2. That's an interesting game of the year discussion for next year. Cyberpunk or Last of Us 2. But anyways, I think we kind of ran gears into the ground there, Jez.
We did.
Without actually...
We've done enough marketing for it now.
Yeah. So let's talk about what happened yesterday, Microsoft's financial report. And
indeed.
And I've seen a lot of hot takes on this one. Shout out to Zach. He says, do you Xbox understands their bad perception? I'm assuming you mean Xbots, like you're calling me an Xbot. Like, do you Xbox understand?
I think what he means is, do you think Xbox understands?
Do you think Xbox understands their bad perception? Yeah, I think so. I mean, look. You want to know how I know they know? What did Phil Spencer say at the Game Awards this past year during that interview with Jeff Keighley? What did he say, Jez? You remember?
I don't know what you're referring to.
So at the Game Awards last year, they had both Sean Layden, all three of them, Sean Layden, Reggie, and Phil take the stage, right? And then he interviewed all three of them separately. And then Phil Spencer, unprompted, says, "Hey, Jeff, glad to be here. Yeah, we could do better." Yeah, we could do better. Yeah. Phil says they could do better. So I'm pretty sure they're aware of the perception. We could do better. Can't we all do better, guys? Can't we all just do better? Right? Anyways, the big kind of story from all this was outside of Microsoft making tons of money, which I don't really care about. I'm not a stockholder. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I don't care about Microsoft at all. I don't care about Azure. I don't care about Surface. Let me rephrase this.
Do you care about Windows Phone?
No, I'm happy the Windows Phone is dead for you, Jez. Since you always rib me about Splinter Cell, I'm always going to be happy that Windows Phone died an early death. It was well deserved.
Wow. That's just ruined my whole day.
That's what you get. That's what you get, Jez.
I get. Oh, thanks, Rand.
Yeah, I mean, next time think about what Splinter Cell and how it's a mobile game, or how Sam Fisher's in a mobile game, and how you wish for it.
Rand. He doesn't even have his own mobile game.
I know, that's
he's
even
the side character. He's so unimportant and lame. He's a side character in a mobile game.
Yeah.
That's I'm sorry, man.
So anyways, the big takeaway, the one that got the headlines was Xbox doomed, or Xbox done, because the hardware was down 48%, or rather the hardware revenue, because a lot of people kind of they don't say it's revenue. They assume it's it's down 48% units. Nah, it's down 48% revenue. However, Xbox or Microsoft did say that's basically due because we sold less consoles than last year. And I believe in the beginning of this year, we both said, Xbox is in for a bad year for console sales.
Yeah.
And especially now that they've announced Scarlet, it's looking bad. I think overall game revenue was down 3%. And they basically said that's due from one title kind of declining, but then propped up.
People don't realize how big Fortnite was for money for Sony and Microsoft. Fortnite was just a huge game.
Yes.
Like the Halo effect, I'll say the network effect, so people don't get confused. I'm not talking about Halo. I'm talking about like the effect that Fortnite had over other businesses was so big. Like I had like manufacturers of headsets saying like our revenue has doubled because people are buying headsets more just to play Fortnite with surround sound. Like the Fortnite was such a big deal for so long, and now it's sort of like the trend's over. It's not dying, but it's not the runaway success story it was last year. So people don't realize how big that was, but their overall revenue was down 10%. Was it year over year or quarter over quarter? I can't remember.
I mean, it was year over year, which is basically they're looking at quarter The same quarter in 2018 versus the same quarter in
Yeah, okay.
2009, which is what, April, May, and June.
Okay, so, but like, you know, it's great fodder for a, you know, a clickbait headline.
Oh, it sure is.
And people saying like, ah, Xbox is dead, they're dying, blah blah blah. They are the third biggest gaming company in the world still, behind Sony. They're bigger than Nintendo still in terms of revenue. They're bigger than EA. They're bigger than Activision. You know, the only people that are ahead of Microsoft in gaming are Sony and Tencent. And so like to put things into perspective, like 10% revenue drops, no big deal, especially when like you consider they have announced a new console. You know, we've been talking about Scarlet rumors for like over a year now, and you know, next gen, it's they didn't like they haven't really had a big hit to sell the consoles, and also you get like you get stuff like all the games are coming out on PC as well, so there's less of a reason than ever to buy an Xbox console, technically, you know. So this is what Satya Nadella said to his shareholders was basically this is a period of transition, right? So like they are transitioning to this sort of horizontal strategy where instead of growing the Xbox business up by itself, they grow outwards to new markets, which is why they're doubling down on PC, which is why they're doubling down on phones and stuff like that. And that's the whole idea behind it. Is this sort of lateral growth to new markets. Because like I said earlier, they can't compete with Sony head on. The console platform as Xbox is maxed out, I think. Do you think that's true, Rand? Do you think Xbox can grow realistically?
The
So,
Xbox One, do I think the Xbox One can grow?
yeah.
Maybe if the price was like really cheap. Like I think it's maxed out, and I think for right now at the price point all these systems are at, yes, I think they've reached maximum saturation at that price point. So seeing the revenue down 48, that's not a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing. Like it's it's definitely a bad thing because obviously you'd much rather see growth. It's an expected thing for sure because everyone kind of knew it was going to happen. But I think Xbox One is in a position where the Switch and the PlayStation are much more popular, and because of Microsoft's strategy of putting their games on PC and putting their games potentially anywhere else, yeah, some people are like, there's no reason to get an Xbox. I can just get a PC or you know, PlayStation has all these games, or look at the portability factor for the Switch, right? So yeah, that leads into a lot of that. It's definitely not something to cheer over, but it's all about, to me, it's all about price. I still think right now the Xbox sad, extremely overpriced at $250. The base Xbox models are still $300, and you know the X is $500. Right? Those are too expensive for this point of this generation. So if you were to move those prices down, if you had the SAD at $150, I think the SAD actually moves units at $150. You move the S down to $200, it probably moves some units. And then you take the X down to $400, maybe around $350, it probably picks up sales traction. But of course, does Microsoft want to do that? I don't really know. And with Phil saying that, like, hey, selling the consoles isn't the profitable part of the business, it's this weird, like, look, they want people to buy, how am I going to say this? They're building a Scarlet, right, for next generation. And they're obviously going to make a whole bunch of them. They're obviously going to want people to buy them. But you got to give people a reason to buy your product. And as of right now, you could. I mean, Sajibot says selling consoles is outdated. It's definitely not the be all end all of like the health of a platform as it was, you know, at the beginning of this generation and especially last generation, right?
I tell you what I worry about, right? And I'm someone who genuinely believes in streaming as a future. I am someone who believes in that. But my worry is they've got nothing to fall back on here. They've got like, say, like Sony, for example. Sony has gone all in on VR. And Matt Piscatella, who MPD analyst, recently said on Twitter that if you combine all VR sales together, it roughly equates to a rounding error. It's so small. The expenditure in VR is so small that it's just like, it doesn't even register on the pie chart. So, but whereas Sony's pressed ahead with VR, it doesn't matter because they haven't made it their entire operation. Like they can always just fall back on the PS4 and PS5, which are wildly successful, and then PS5 is going to be wildly successful. Whereas Microsoft has thrown a lot of its investiture at services like Mixer, the services like xCloud, and if their focus on growing horizontally ultimately leads to the Xbox console's demise, then you've got like xCloud. If xCloud doesn't take off, they've got nothing to fall back on. And it's like, this is the sort of like when I'm I mean, like if you look at websites, right? If you look at websites and stuff, like a lot of the Amazon Prime stuff, a lot of the Amazon Prime deals that websites were pushing recently, there's an argument to say like, why don't websites just become deal websites and just focus entirely on deals? Because that's where the money is, right? You know, there's not that much money in reviewing an indie game, but there's a lot of money in posting about deals and stuff like that. And if you look at it from that perspective, then it's like, it's more like a short-term gain. But like if Microsoft did build up the Xbox console user base and did work on that stuff now, and xCloud fails, then they've got nothing to fall back on really, except what Dark Time says in chat just now, they can go third party, which is what a lot of this conversation recently has fallen into, is like, is Xbox's exit plan basically to become a publisher like Tencent, like Activision and stuff like that? And that would be very profitable for them. You know, they could put all their games on PlayStation, which is a bigger user base. They could make a hell of a lot of money, you know, put in like Gears of War and Halo on PlayStation. And at some point, the argument starts to become like, well, why not? You know,
Well,
what is the point of Xbox as a console if you're already pushing these exclusive out to Steam and outside of your own ecosystem, and you're already given a cut to Valve, like in order to grow your user base and engagement on Xbox Live? Why don't you just become a third party? Why don't you just do these
because
things?
they want their cake and they want to eat it too. Think about it. Like they want to sell their games to as many places as they possibly can, but then they also want to sell other people's games so they can take that cut and then also sell you subscriptions on top of that via Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold or Ultimate and xCloud and stuff. So they want both, they want everything. They want to put their games everywhere so they can make the most revenue possible. And then they want to make money off of selling other people's games. I mean, I don't know. Like the Saji says the game sales are a thing of the past.
No, that's not true at all. Game sales are the bread and butter. You know, they are the bread and butter. And I'm not just talking about game sales, but also like in-app purchases and stuff as well. Like Fortnite by itself has been such a massive driver of revenue for Xbox and Sony. But like, you know, and look at games like God of War, like in traditional single player games, are still doing really well. And but the industry is evolving. It's an industry that evolves, and that's why like Microsoft focuses more on engagement now, because the idea is if someone's engaging in your ecosystem, you can send them to a storefront and get a cut, like Rand says. It's all about like wanting to get both. But Rand, I don't think they can have their cake and eat it. I don't think you can have that. If I can get all these games on PC, it's going to end up just being more convenient to get a decent gaming rig for a lot of people, which reduces the footprint of the Xbox as a console. And if you're reducing the footprint of Xbox as a console, you're reducing the clout of the Xbox development environment. which means that it's less profitable for a dev to invest in your ecosystem. Now, where the contention lies is that xCloud runs on the same development environment as Xbox One. So eventually Microsoft can say, well, the Xbox install base isn't 40 million, it's 100 million because of all the Xbox xCloud users. Like just throwing a random number out there. I'm not saying it's going to blow up to 100 million, but like I'm saying it could blow up if people actually use it, you know. But I also think they need hero hardware to push that thing. I don't think like you can just I don't think an app will excite people like a good mobile device would, like a Switch like device that's powered by xCloud.
Yeah, Sam
I
Tilber
don't
says,
know.
here's the thing. I hear over and over people just get a PC rig, but the evidence isn't showing that. As far as I can tell, your average Joe isn't going to get a PC.
Yeah, well, you say that, but like, especially in the Asia Pacific market, PC is God. You know, it is God. It's like 40% of the market. You know, and simultaneously, it's like a PC guy isn't going to get a console unless he wants to play the exclusives. You know, like a PC guy, if a PC guy wants to play Bloodborne, they have to get a PlayStation. They have to, or they have to use PlayStation Network, which, you know, not PlayStation Network, PlayStation Now, which isn't that great right now, but it probably will be in the future if they start using xCloud as well. But it's a strange period of transition. You know, it's like there's a lot of factors going on at play here. The market's evolving. Like the Xbox development environment could grow because of xCloud, which makes the whole idea of console sales obsolete in a way. And we still don't really know what the feature set of Scarlet's going to be. Like what's going to be so great about Scarlet that will make people want to buy it, you know. But
I mean, for me, I don't care about PC gaming, and I'll just get all the systems. It's not for like, I don't know. I just I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just like, listen, I've been on the Xbox ecosystem. I have all my friends, all my gamer score, all my games, my favorite franchise and Halo and all that stuff. So it's like I'm gonna get the Scarlet, and I'm also gonna get the PlayStation. So I'll play all their games there too. It's like, but that's what I want to do. I'm just one person. Other people will have other reasons. Like someone might be like, I'm just going to get a PlayStation 5 and get a PC. That's fine. Someone might be like, you know what? I want to get Scarlet and nothing else. Like, I don't know. Like,
that's the whole other aspect is like this whole idea of lock-in. If you've got like 400 games on Steam, you're pretty much locked into Steam. If you've got 400 games on Xbox, you're pretty much locked into Xbox. Like, I don't really want to invest in a PlayStation 4 for my multiplats because I've already invested so much in Xbox, you know?
well, it's not even that. I mean, I would get the game on PlayStation even if it wasn't really like, if the game's only available on PlayStation and I really want to play it, I'll get, I'll play it there.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm talking about multiplats though. Like I've invested all my multiplats live on Xbox. So like why I wouldn't get them on PlayStation even if they had slightly better graphics. You know, just because all my friends are on Xbox, you know?
So Zim says, see how Sony makes you have to buy a console if you want to play their games. Currently, that is true. If you do want to play Sony's games, you do have to buy their console. However,
That's not always going to be the case.
I'm of the belief that's not always going to be true. Like, maybe it'll be true at the beginning of the PlayStation 5, which I think it will. I think Sony, with how they're marketing the PlayStation 5 to the hardcore and all that stuff, they're going to be like, you want to play these games, you're going to have to get a PlayStation 5. And for the first couple of years, that's going to happen. And as soon as kind of the more casual, the price point comes down and the casuals get in, I mean, they've already said they're going to kind of lean heavily much more into PlayStation Now. I fully expect at some point Sony's own games will be on PlayStation Now and streamable via the cloud so they can compete with Google, who they see as from their own words, a mid to long-term threat. Like they need to be in that, that sector. Like currently with the PlayStation 4, you're right. You want to play Bloodborne? Well, maybe Bloodborne's on. Is Bloodborne on PlayStation Now on the PC? But if you want to play God of War, there's only one place to play it. You need to get a PlayStation. But 10 years from now, I don't think that's still going to be the same. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Sony's going to put all their stuff everywhere too. Maybe not necessarily day one. Like maybe God of War 2 comes out and it's, only on the PS5 for 6 months and then it's on mobile and perhaps PC later or whatever. But it'll eventually happen. And like OBJ says, he says never day and date. I don't think it'll be day and date right away. I think maybe eventually. I mean, Sony even themselves was like, we don't know if there's going to be PS6. We don't know how the market's going to adapt to streaming. Like Google obviously thinks streaming's the future. They're going all in, right? I think it's kind of funny they had that like AMA where they're like, we're going to support it forever, like Gmail and YouTube and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, what about the other products that you've made Plus? That that have basically in the trash bin? And I look at Stadia and I'm like, people really who's Stadia for? Because I don't think Stadia is for a console gamer. Maybe it is. I think Stadia is more for like PC players, and I'm just like, but I don't really see PC players going for Stadia. Like, who wants to spend or who wants to be that reliant on a streaming solution where you don't own your and I'm not really that excited to for xCloud. I know people are. I know people are much more on the go than I am and all that stuff.
The thing about xCloud is it's an add-on for your existing Xbox Live stuff.
That's what's going to make it work. That's what's going to make that xCloud far superior than whatever Stadia is doing, because it's going to be bundled with Game Pass. So you're going to have 200 or 300 games that you'll be able to stream on there, Microsoft's own games. You'll be able to buy a game and play it on your console as a local version, and then potentially take it on the go for your xCloud or even have it on the PC. It's a much better value proposition than Stadia ever could be. Like, just looking at Stadia's thing, it's like, why would somebody do that? Like, I don't know. It's baffling to me. Like, and I guess someone did ask me this before. I would try out Stadia if they had exclusives and if they were really good. Like, if Stadia came out with a bomb-ass game that was the talk of the industry, like if they put out a God of War type game, or they put out a Halo-like game where the only place to play it is Stadia, I mean, how many people here would be like, you know what? The entry price to Stadia is pretty low. I don't have to go buy a new console. I'll just fire it up and, play it and see how it goes. That is kind of tempting to a certain thing, right? Like, if they really do have a great exclusive, you don't have to spend a lot of money to actually play it. I don't know. I could see them putting out a trailer, but then again, it's like they need to either buy games or build a studio, and that's how long, it's gonna take a long time. They hired Jade Raymond to do that. We'll see, but they I don't know. I mean, I do wonder how they're gonna. I do wonder, what is their their whole, who are they really targeting, and how many people are really that interested in Google Stadia? Like, I can't see PC players giving up their rig, and I can't see console gamers suddenly being like, yeah, let me rely on console streaming and or streaming and not owning my games. It's this weird thing, man.
The crazy thing about Stadia is not only do you not own your games, you don't even own your access to the games. At least if you've got an Xbox, you can put the disc in and play offline. In some, I mean, if the game is an offline game, and like with the Nintendo Switch, you don't need to be online to play all those games. Like, once you bought the console, you own the access. But with Stadia, you don't even own the access.
Some people don't care about owning stuff like that, though. Not everybody is the same way about owning content, that everybody else is. So to some people, that might not be that big of a deal.
Hang on. I just need to clarify. You don't own access to the 4K version. I think the 1080p version is free if you own the game, if I remember right. But if you want the 4K streaming version, then you have to pay a subscription.
Damn God says Rand, Stadia will be okay. Microsoft will put their games on it, so no biggie. I don't think that'll happen.
No, Microsoft definitely won't put their games on Stadia, because unlike, they don't see Switch as a competitor, because it's a form factor that they're not really. It's a form factor they want to put xCloud on, They don't necessarily see Switch as a direct competitor in terms of like the wider Microsoft business. They do see Google as a competitor. They will go balls to the wall to not support Stadia.
But
And like Google and
does
Microsoft
Microsoft? Let me ask you this. I agree with you that Microsoft definitely views Google as competitor, and I doubt we'll see any of Microsoft's games on Google Stadia because they're going to be competing directly in that market. That's not going to happen. However, do you think Microsoft views PlayStation as a competitor? Like, I know they don't really view Nintendo as one, you said, which is why they're more open to putting their games on Nintendo, and Nintendo's actually open to allowing Xbox Live on the Switch. But does Microsoft look at Nintendo or look at PlayStation and view them as the competitor? And if given the chance, if PlayStation was like, you know what, let's put Halo Infinite on the PlayStation 5.
I think they see PlayStation as a potential customer. Well, not even a potential customer. They are a customer now. They've purchased access to the xCloud stack for PlayStation now. So, the size in companies isn't even comparable. Microsoft's a $1 trillion company. You know, it's a $1 trillion. It's the biggest it's the most traded public company on earth. So you have to put some things into perspective in terms of like the levels that they're competing on. I think Xbox sees PlayStation as a competitor, but not Microsoft at the high level. I think Microsoft sees PlayStation as a competitor, and I also think that philosophically, I think Phil and people like that, they see PlayStation as important for the health of. They see PlayStation as important for the soul of gaming. Like, PlayStation is synonymous with gaming. Nintendo is synonymous with gaming. Like, but like companies like Google, I personally see them as a pretender. They don't care about gaming. They've built a cloud platform, and they just think, well, why don't we use our cloud to try and make some money on the gaming on the side? They don't give a crap about gaming. Google doesn't, you know. And Google is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world too. Like, when you consider Android. But they don't care about the soul of gaming. They made all their money on predatory microtransactions on Android. They don't give a damn about gaming. And yeah, like TRZ says in chat, that's business, Jez, and it is business, you know. But the thing that's unique about gaming is it's business and art intertwined. You know, it's the entertainment business. It's like music. It's like movies. There is still. It is business, but there's still an art and a soul that exists within it, you know. And typically that soul hasn't been there for mobile gaming. You know, Google, all they know is mobile gaming. That's all they know, which is why I don't want them anywhere near gaming.
Yeah. You don't want them anywhere close to it, huh?
I don't want Google near anything. I have no qualms in saying I hate Google. You know, I've said it on this podcast loads. I think they're a scummy company. Like, the way they handle YouTube is trash. I think like YouTube is like such a great resource, but they don't take any responsibility for the garbage that's posted on this platform. And you know, they don't care because they make a shitload of money. And yeah, like Carl Newman says, like, here we are with Android phones because we can't escape. They're too damn big. Google Pixel is greater than Windows Phone. I mean, that'd be a great argument, but Windows Phone doesn't exist anymore. RIP.
So how does this all lead into the console war being over for Xbox, Jez?
Well, I wrote an article saying, is the console war over for Xbox? Because that's a question I always get. Is a console war over for Xbox? Is a console war over for Xbox? And it's like, it's the wrong question to ask at the end of the day, because they want to grow more. They want to grow beyond the box. And I think, like, if you look at the trends, the market trends that I posted in that article, it's console gaming is growing, but it's being outpaced by other platforms, namely mobile. And there's a big opportunity there to bring some core gaming to mobile. And we always talk about xCloud on this channel. Like, and it's not just about xCloud, it's about PlayStation Now as well. Like, PlayStation has so much great content that they could bring to mobile devices, like supported by Azure and stuff like that. And you have to go where the gamers are if you're a business, and especially in certain markets, they ain't on console. Like console is in decline in even in Japan. You know, everyone's gaming on their phones and stuff like that. And I suppose part of it is just like having a busy lifestyle. Like the average age of gamers is going up all the time, and actually fitting in time to sit down at a sofa and actually game is it's not always easy for people. You know. But you know, there's so many factors to this, and I don't have any notes written down. I could run down the whole list of factors and reasons into this. But at a very basic level, I don't think Xbox can grow anymore. I think Sony and Nintendo have cornered their niches to a point where there's not enough room for Xbox beyond its current install base. I think the people that are on Xbox right now, the people that are locked in digitally and through sales and stuff, they'll be satisfied for the long term, you know, because even though we talk about exclusives for days, but as we saw from Microsoft's earnings reports, it's games like Fortnite and FIFA and Call of Duty that are driving this industry, for better or worse, that are driving the business, you know. And those games that do drive the business allow them to invest in experiences like Halo, Forza, Gears, and like some other stuff, you know. And what opportunity Microsoft has with its cloud is to grow the Xbox install base to a point where they can say to developers, look, our home console user base is stagnant, but our wider Xbox ecosystem, which includes xCloud, is growing and more vibrant, you know? So that's why I think it's not over for Xbox. And it basically boils down to purely for xCloud. But it's still a risk, you know? It's like there's plenty of people like you who just straight up aren't interested in it. Like for me, I will literally lie in bed and stream Darkest Dungeon to my phone for hours, because I always go on my phone in bed, you know. So a lot of people do, you know. But like I can't like play my console from bed because it's at my desk, you know. It's not near my bed. It's the ability to fit your Xbox in around your lifestyle, you know, which is why I think the Switch is so useful and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting couple of years, man.
Well, yeah. So you think Xbox is tapped out currently at their current position, and that they needed to like, because I
was just laughing at chat. Like
I think they're tapped out at their price point. I think they need to be cheaper than their competition, and they're not. The only times Xbox has like really won anything this gen is when they were significantly cheaper than their competition. Because price does matter. Price matters a lot. Like we look at the Xbox set, right? An all digital edition. And we look at it, it's $250 and we just laugh. We're like, nobody's gonna buy this, and nobody did. But then like a good bundle comes along on Prime Day with an extra controller for $200, and it starts moving some units. So you look at that and it's like, wait a minute. If the SAD was the price it should have been, like $199, probably would have pushed some units. And then now you're talking, if you can get that system down to $150, that becomes impulse buy for a lot of people. $150, whatever. Like, I think the pricing is extremely screwed up for their consoles. I think they're too expensive, and I think they've tapped out their market at that price point. Now, next generation, like Microsoft's going to have to really show people why to get a Scarlet. Because I ever see that from people I follow here on Twitter. Like, I already have an X. You know, a lot of people say, like, I have an X. Why do I need to get the Scarlet? You know, especially that Halo Infinite's going to run on both. Like, show me the reason why. And sure, there are going to be a bunch of third-party games that, you know, are going to be on every, you know, on PC and going to be on PlayStation 5. Are they going to look and run best on yours? Potentially. But people also want to see, like, what is, like, the idea that Microsoft, I don't know, like, I think a lot of people look at Phil, and when they hear him say stuff like, hey, selling consoles ain't the profitable part of the business. they kind of think he's saying to them, I don't care if you buy our console. Because he says that. He's like, listen, he literally says, I don't need to sell a console. So a lot of people take that quote and they be like, well, he doesn't want me to buy a console. So I'm not going to. You know what I mean? So so they look like that, and then they hear what what PlayStation's doing, where they're like, hey, we're here. Like, we're here for you, the hardcore gamer. Like, we're gonna give you those big AAA exclusives. So people kind of look at it and be like, well, PlayStation's for the gamer and Xbox isn't. I think there's a lot of that going around, and especially with like, the doom and gloom surrounding like the exclusives. How well, like, they haven't been that great the last couple years. Gears 5. What's going on? Why aren't they showing the campaign? Oh, look, nobody's buying an Xbox. Is Xbox done? All that stuff. It like, I don't know. I mentioned to you before we started the show, and I get on Twitter. I read a lot of stuff, and I don't get upset about other people's opinions, right? If someone says, hey, like, I think, like, for instance, I loved Red Dead Redemption 2, right? I thought it was game of the year, slightly over God of War. But you say that, people get upset for whatever reason, and they'll come at me and they'll be like, Red Dead Redemption 2 sucked. And I don't reply, because I don't get bent out of shape about what other people think. And but people do. People really do get bent out of shape about other people's opinions on stuff. I see it happen all the time. Someone gets a PlayStation and they're enjoying it, and suddenly Xbox fans attack said person because they're enjoying the PlayStation. Because how dare you? Or a PlayStation guy says something nice about Xbox, and all the PlayStation guys attack him. It's this weird thing where people get so concerned about what other people are doing. It's weird to me. It's really, really weird. So if you are in chat and you're telling me that Red Dead Redemption 2 is horrible, I ain't gonna be mad. I just don't care what you have to say. Because whose opinion matters most to me is mine.
Oh.
Mine? No, well, your opinion matters.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm not going to get into like a shouting contest with somebody that disagrees with my stance. Like, Silverburst Gamer says, that's not true, Rand. Red Dead has serious gameplay issues. I agree. It had some gameplay problems. I'm not blind to that, but I still love the game despite it.
See, I'm a bit different. I actually do care what other people think. Maybe too much, but I think, like, I'm always interested to hear what other people think and their perspectives. But I think what's important is not to let it. If you genuinely think something's good, like, why would you let someone else try and bring you down on that? It's why would you do that? So I like, if someone's being like an ass, then I don't care what they think. But like, I really like reading reasonable, thoughtful criticism of something, because sometimes it can give you a new perspective. And I think, like, that's something the industry as a whole could do with a bit more of. Because we talked before on this podcast about how game developers seem to prioritize user feedback and telemetry when they're developing games and stuff. And it recently came out that Microsoft has this whole Windows Insider program, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have this whole Windows Insider program, and the whole program is 100% dedicated to user feedback, getting user feedback on everything to do with every aspect of development of Windows and Xbox too. So that's the whole point of the Windows Insider system. But they recently, I can't remember where I saw this. I saw it on Twitter, and forgive me that I can't remember the source. But like, they said that they realized that their Windows Insider program was biased because most of the users are men. Most of the people who want to share their opinions about Windows are men. You know, maybe it's because more men work in the IT industry and stuff like that. But because of that, they realized that they were creating a Windows that was biased towards the needs of men, and they realized that when they polled women, that women didn't like different aspects of Windows, but they just didn't have that data. So that's when like feedback and telemetry becomes a problem. When you if you get into like a bubble where you're only listening to certain people's opinions, it can lead to stagnation, you know. And sometimes I worry that Microsoft has gotten into that sort of corporate mindset, which is why like we don't get games with all those secrets in like Bloodborne has now.
Yeah, they're too expensive to make, and
because they'll look at the telemetry and say like, oh, only 1% of people found this secret.
yeah,
Why did we bother wasting the resources to put in it? And it's like, even though I haven't uncovered that secret, just hearing about the fact that it's got a secret in it makes the game feel deeper and more rich to me and more mysterious. But you can't measure that in a feedback system. And I don't know why I just went off on this sort of tangent about feedback and telemetry and stuff.
right.
But I'm starting to get sleepy, maybe.
Well, I gotta give a shout out to JD Gamer for the super chats. He says, "Is it possible that Xbox can grow based on growing the variety and availability of AAA games such as the types that Sony and Nintendo have? And don't you think that great games create followings and those followers bring their friends and growth, and that growth was what MS looking for?" Yes, of course. Great games like Halo have created their own followings that made people buy the Xbox. 100%. Those things matter. Like, look at Spider-Man. Look at the reaction it got and how good it was and the marketing they put behind it. And then friends told their friends, and now it's like the best-selling superhero game ever in the United States. Xbox is looking to grow. Like Satya, he's basically saying like we're positioned well to grow in the future. Like he's 100% behind gaming as a brand. Yeah, it's stumbling right now. The Xbox One console isn't very desirable, especially at its price points. But they're looking at the future of where gaming is going. They're like, yo, like we can make some money here. Like we can be a pillar of gaming. And even with that said, even with the down quarter they made like $11.8 billion in gaming, which was the most revenue they ever had for the entire year. And the second best was the previous year. So despite selling less consoles than the 360 by a huge long shot, they're making more money than the 360 ever did. So like some of it is just doom and gloom. Some of it's trolling. There are people definitely out there that love the troll. Some of it is definitely people looking for likes and clicks and all that stuff. They don't really truly mean what they're saying. But for me personally, look, I like Xbox. Have I been is somebody coming, and trust me, people try to tell me I shouldn't. Like by me liking Xbox is some horrible, horrible thing, and that I should feel ashamed. And I just laugh at those people. Does that mean I think everything Xbox does is amazing? Of course not. I have had issues with Xbox, and I've laid them out previously. And I'm also one of those people that are looking forward to a bunch of games that Xbox studios are making, because I also understand that AAA games aren't the be-all, end-all of everything. I talked about Hollow Knight at the beginning of this podcast. It's an indie game made by 3 people. And it's better than most of the AAA games I played this generation. Like, it doesn't really matter what the budget is. Like, I think people get too hung up on AAA games for some reason because they don't really experience other stuff. So I'm looking for a broader variety of games. Yes, I'm looking for great AAA cinematic single-player experiences, but I'm also looking for just damn great games, period, whether they're AA or single A.
This comes back down to bias again, right? Like the hardcore, we always talk about this idea of hardcore, but who is hardcore really? Like I define hardcore as people who are here listening to this podcast, and people who are aware of lots of AAA games and stuff like that. Like if you actually go to the average Fortnite player or the average Call of Duty player and say to them like, have you heard of Sunset Overdrive? They'll look at you with a blank face. They won't have heard of Sunset Overdrive. They won't have heard it. And people and games like, I don't know, Just you can think of any AAA single player game that hasn't been like that big, but like we all know it because we're engaged. But like the wider market, they don't know it. They don't know these games. So like when you're Microsoft and you're running a business, and yeah, you want to make great games and you want to appeal to the biggest user base possible. But then you're also looking at like the way single player games are selling or being engaged with on your platform. Like I couldn't believe it when I completed The Evil Within and found that the achievement for completing The Evil Within is a rare achievement. Only 4% of people have completed The Evil Within.
Yep.
Who played the game. Only 4%. And
But
like
that might speak to how good the campaign was, because when I was looking at trophies last night, God of War, 53% of people who played the campaign beat the campaign.
well, that's still only 53%.
I mean, that's half. That's definitely the trend, according to a lot
You
of
have to
developers, is
think
like a
about.
third. It's
But
30. So
if you
definitely,
think, yeah, but if you think about it from a pure cold business perspective, they'll be thinking the people who only played half of God of War, the rest of the game we made was a waste of money because they never engaged with that content, and that's why like EA. I remember when EA released the figures and said like only 30% of Mass Effect players played as Renegade Shepard in Mass Effect. To EA, they're thinking it was a waste of time for us to ever have created a Renegade Shepard playthrough. All that voice acting, and no one ever experienced it. Like from their perspective, it's a waste of time and money. From my perspective, it's not a waste of time and money because it adds weight to your decisions. I didn't choose that decision; I chose this one, and thus it makes your decisions more fun because you didn't choose the other one. But EA doesn't see it that way. They see it as wasted money. So for Microsoft, like when people say like, why does Microsoft focus so much on multiplayer games and blah blah blah? It's because they have telemetry and data which says that's what people want, like in the wider market, for better or worse. You know, it's complicated trying to sort of balance the business reality with the sort of the unmeasurable halo effect of having those high quality exclusives. Like the fact that God of War exists by itself is good by in of itself because it creates a desire and a fear of missing out. Like if I haven't played God of War yet, but I bought it because of everyone said it was so good. You know, and I will play it eventually. But like even like casual normies know of God of War because it was so damn good. And I'm hoping, Rand, I'm hoping that Microsoft sort of agrees that you've got to have these big games and these big products that even if people don't engage with them the same way they do engage with Minecraft or Fortnite, that it's still worth having them because it makes your ecosystem look good.
yeah, I agree. Like I think like having it as part of your library
It
makes
makes
the
it richer.
library makes the library worth exploring, makes the ecosystem worth getting into. That's why like some people will hate it, and I know some people in chat here will hate it as well. Like the fact that the PlayStation gets a lot of Japanese games as de facto exclusives really does hurt Xbox. Because if you like those games, there's really only one place to get them, and that is
It
the
kills me that
PlayStation.
Persona isn't even a hard exclusive to PlayStation. They just didn't want to put it on Xbox because they don't think there's a market there.
Yeah,
It kills me.
those things
Because
matter. Those things diversified the library, right? Like,
yeah,
and because they're not an Xbox, Persona is an exclusive. Even
Final
though like
Fantasy
Sony has
14.
nothing really to do with it, it's there and it's a franchise people like. That all that stuff really does matter. Um so yeah, shout out to Eternal Shaddai. He says streaming is the future. Doesn't DOS for ruin stream? I mean, hell, like Google Stadia is like, yo, the IPs will figure this out. Like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, sure they will. Sure they will.
Google sounds so weirdly out of its depth with this gaming stuff. Don't you think? Like all the things that Google have said recently about Stadia, like it just sounds like they're completely out of their depth, and they're coming at this with a complete naivety, which is just so strange. But the thing is, Google has Google has the ecosystem clout to just sort of power through that naivety.
We shall see. We shall
Well,
see. And
Google Plus was a total failure.
Cross Saber says, you talk like PlayStation 4 doesn't have access to those indie games. PS exclusives are what distinguish them from other brands, and that's their brand identity. I mean, I didn't say indies were exclusive to PlayStation. And yes, I do agree exclusives are what give the brand their identity. Like when you think PlayStation, you think God of War and Uncharted. When you think Nintendo, you think Mario and Pokemon and Smash Brothers. When you think Xbox, you think of Halo and Gears and Forza.
But you don't think of Minecraft.
No, actually, you don't think of Minecraft. But that's because Minecraft is literally everywhere, right? I honestly I don't think of Minecraft when I think of Microsoft or Xbox. Does anybody in here feel the same? Like when you think of Minecraft, do you think of Xbox? I don't think so.
I don't think of Microsoft when I think of Minecraft, and I don't think anyone does really. And it's funny because like Fortnite is synonymous with Epic Games, and like I don't know, Riot is synonymous with League of Legends and stuff like that. But like you don't really think of Minecraft as a Microsoft game because they pretty much bought that community. They bought that community. And I would argue they've earned it now, but I guess it didn't grow as part of Microsoft. I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out to Orlando Telfer. He says, been singing this all week. Final Fantasy VII Remake not being Xbox is huge. I'll have to buy a PS4 just for that. You see?
Exactly.
That is right. Final Fantasy VII is one of the biggest games of all time, right? The original release. People have been waiting for a remake, and it's finally coming, regardless of the fact that it's only 10% of the first game, and it only being on PlayStation is a big loss for Xbox. Even I know people are like, it's coming to Xbox eventually. That's fine. A year from now, 2 years from now, the damage has been done. Because if you want to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's only one place to play it day one, and that is a PlayStation. Those things kind of really do matter. And I mean, who knows when or if it'll come to Xbox. I think it will eventually down the road, but all those things matter. And I think, like Jez says, you were getting tired, so we're going to end the show here, but we're going to take some questions before we get out of here. So if you have anything you want to ask us, make sure you type it in chat. And I want to thank the 430 people that were here. Before you guys leave, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow Jez on Twitter. If you want to listen to the show, if you'd rather listen to the show later, on iTunes or Google Play, links are in the description. We appreciate everybody watching later. Hi, how's everybody doing on iTunes? But yeah, appreciate everybody being out here, all the support. Really means a lot to us.
Yeah, you guys rock.
So first question up, we have Face. He wants to know, Rand, was Game Pass created to get engagement with their games since the beginning of this gen? People weren't buying Xbox exclusives. If their games were selling 10 million plus, would Game Pass exist? I think so, yes. And I think because Xbox is following in the footsteps of what Microsoft is as a company. You think of Microsoft currently, they're all about putting everything everywhere. They're all about services and subscriptions, which is their bread and butter. So I think, the divisions within the company kind of fall in line. It was something different with Ballmer, and now it's something different with Nadella. So I think they would say if our exclusives are selling that much and we put that stuff on Game Pass, then we are going to sell so many Game Pass subscriptions because people love our games. So they would probably be in a better position if their games were actually really good in the beginning, because more people will be willing to give them money for Game Pass. So I 100% believe that Xbox would be following this path because that's basically what Microsoft is all about now. Jez, do you agree?
I think Game Pass would have existed regardless, because they saw what Xbox Live transformed the whole business, and I suppose like they're looking at things like Netflix and Spotify and thinking, you know what, we can do that for games. We have the cloud, why not? And it's ultimately why Google's getting involved with Stadia. They have the cloud, so why not use it for that purpose too? And they're setting up all these exclusive deals with ISPs, and they're setting up all these, like Microsoft has its own pipeline across the Atlantic for high speed internet. So, they're setting up all this infrastructure, and I think like these subscription services are inevitable. As soon as Satya Nadella became CEO, all these subscription services were inevitable, because Satya Nadella became CEO because of things like Office 365, because of Azure subscription services, and meanwhile, Steve Ballmer was trying to make Microsoft a little bit more like Apple, a more sort of hardware ecosystem, closed garden ecosystem oriented company. Whereas Satya Nadella is all about open source, the intelligent edge, which is intelligent edge just means like all the devices that exist connected to the internet. And he thinks like that's where Microsoft should be, on all of those devices, no matter what, getting everyone to pay a subscription, So really it's less to do with how Xbox was doing, and more to do with the top-down philosophy of Microsoft, which is subscription services to Microsoft services on every device. That's basically it.
Kelly Rex wants to know, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man being the best-selling superhero game? I think that's really impressive. The best-selling superhero game in North America, according to NPD. They did it in a single year on one platform. Now, that's definitely helped out by the MCU, like hype, the movies and stuff like that. But I mean, that beat Batman Arkham City, which was on the 360 and the PS3, was on PC. It was also on Xbox One and PS4, but as like a collection, so I'm not really sure those count. But I am extremely impressed. They did it so fast, 1 year, 1 year to basically take that down. So that's really impressive. And the game's really good. And Spider-Man 2, like you probably look at like the most anticipated exclusive for the PlayStation 5. I think hands down, even though for me it would be God of War 2, but I think for most people it'd probably be Spider-Man 2. I mean, it's like outsold pretty much everything on PlayStation for the most part, except for maybe like the Uncharted stuff. So people love Spider-Man.
Spider Bro.
I
suppose it's also a little bit to do with Avengers driving a lot of interest in the whole Marvel,
the MCU.
Like DC has just not been good.
Not been very good at all. Yeah.
Let's not get it. I don't want to piss off those fanboys. Oh no.
P Diddy, Papa Diddy Duff Puff. He says, "What game do you want from Rare?" What I want from Rare, I want a good game. I want a great game. That's all I want from Rare. Like, I don't know what like. I don't know what they
he wants you to say Banjo.
I know. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't give a rat's ass about Banjo or Conquer or any other IP. I just want Rare to make something that is great. Now,
I want them to realize Sea of Thieves' full potential. I don't really care what what else they've got cooking, because like you say, I think like if it's something like Banjo, like a 3D platformer, I personally aren't interested. What I want to see is Sea of Thieves reach its potential, because I still think it's really far away from reaching its full potential. They've added a lot of cool stuff to it, but still, there's still no reason to log on and play. For me personally, there's still no reason to log on and play. Like I'm not interested at all in the gold grind as a way of playing. I just don't find that compelling as a progression mechanic. Do you?
No, not really. I mean, Sea of Thieves has definitely gotten better since it launched in early access in 2018, which, yes, I said it, that game definitely launched in early access. It's definitely better now, but it's still like, the loop isn't something I really care for, which is one of the reasons why I don't play it.
I feel like if I jump on World of Warcraft, right, and I play World of Warcraft for an hour, I get more stuff than if I play Sea of Thieves for 40 hours. So it's kind of like, what service game would I play? I want to see Sea of Thieves realize its potential. So that's my opinion on Rare. I don't know.
Right.
So let's take a few more questions. I'm in a question movie.
Jay Slayer says, "Why would anyone buy Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, buy the game when the whole thing comes out 12 years from now?" Some people can't wait, dude. People cannot wait. There's a lot of like, if you don't play it right now or don't watch something right now, you're out of the loop and you'll get spoiled. Some people just can't wait, and that's pretty much it. Gregor Von Doom says, "Randy, will you be reviewing Doom Eternal launch week, or will you wait 2 years again?" I don't know. I'm definitely playing Doom Eternal right away. I really did enjoy Doom, and I did play that 2 years after that.
So good, so good.
FR Dispatch Gaming says, "How's Bloodborne?" I really love the game. I talked
You
about
said
it
it was
at
too
length.
easy earlier.
It's easy. Just go back to the beginning of the show. I went in length about my thoughts about Bloodborne.
Rand's a hardcore gamer.
Mark of the Dragon, how excited are you both at the thought of the games coming out next year? Dude, next year? The beginning of next year is crazy. Like, the beginning of this year was kind of I mean, Resident Evil Remake 2 was great. Resident Evil 2 Remake. Sekiro was really good. Division 2 was all right. But, like, there was Crackdown 3 was mediocre. Far Cry, New Dawn was mediocre. Anthem was terrible for a lot of people. Days Gone was mediocre, right? But early next year, you got Ori 2, which is going to be fire. You have Last of Us Part 2, which is going to be amazing. You have Cyberpunk 2077. Like, that's 3 games right there that are probably going to be my 1, 2, 3 for game of the year coming out by April. Not to mention you have Final Fantasy VII Remake. You have, Marvel's Avengers, which they're showing off gameplay and it looks all right.
That leaked today.
Yeah, that leaked. I'm forgetting other games that are like Watch Dogs Legions, right? Like already, I can think of 3 Game of the Year candidates off the top of my head just the beginning of next year. It's crazy.
All I can think of is like Minecraft Dungeons and Empire of Sin, which most people.
And there's rumors that Ghost of Tsushima will be an April release, and Microsoft has a whole bunch of games coming out. So like next year. Sounds like it's going to be crazy at the beginning of next year. Okay, Rand and Jez, this is from Kendall. So Blinks can't get a remake by Final Fantasy VII can. What OG Xbox game deserves the remake? Knights of the Old Republic.
1 and 2.
Knights of the Old Republic deserves a remake.
Knights of the Old Republic, Max Payne 1 and 2. I wouldn't mind seeing like a sort of Final Fantasy level remake of the classic Silent Hill games. Like a Resident Evil 2 style remake of Silent Hill 2. I know Konami will never do it, and if they did do it, it wouldn't be that good. It'd be cool if like Konami would sell the Silent Hill IP to a company that actually cares about making games. I got a really funny press release from Konami the other day. They announced that they have exclusive rights to the player name. The branding of one football team for PES, for Pro Evolution Soccer 2020. That was their big gaming press release. They have the rights to the branding of one Italian football team for their next soccer game. That was their big press release. And I was thinking, my God, how far has Konami fallen that is what they consider to be news about their games? It's sad.
So KL Luzo, he wants to know. So, what do you think of Netflix losing $17 billion in 24 hours? I mean, I know they lost a lot of money. I don't know what $17 billion.
What happened here?
The Netflix lost a lot of money.
Why?
Their shares tanked. You didn't hear about this?
No.
They reported a down quarter. They lost like 200,000 subscribers in North America. They posted how they're basically going to lose like $3 billion, like what was it, like $3 billion next year? Like a lot of investors are worried about, increasing competition and stuff. So their stock price tanked.
Okay, so let's I've got the news here. It's Netflix subscriber growth falls sharply. Shares decline and erode 20 billion off its market cap. Netflix has said that its increased subscription prices in some markets and a weak content slate during Q2 drove bad performance in the second quarter. I don't think like one quarter is anything to worry about. But like if this continues to be a trend, then I think what really that shows is that there's just so much competition now. Like how many companies have their own subscriber service, and Disney's bringing out its own subscriber service.
Disney and Netflix is losing Friends, and they're losing The Office, which are people love to watch. Like
people love to watch them, but
how close are we to the apocalypse for subscriptions, where everything is subscription? I just saw Reddit just introduce a subscription service.
Reddit introduced a subscription?
I just saw earlier today Reddit introduced a subscription service. You have subscriptions on Twitch, you have Amazon Prime, you have Mixer subscriptions, you have Xbox Live Gold, you have PSN, you have PS Now, you have Xbox Game Pass, you have Xbox Game Pass for PC, you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That's just kind of for the gaming, right? You have Nintendo Online, and then for like, you got Hulu, you got Netflix, you got Disney Plus, you got HBO Go.
Is gonna be so big.
Yeah, like Showtime. They have so many subscriptions, and people are just like,
BBC just announced one as well called BritBox.
It's like at some point people are going to be like, you know what? I can't afford all this stuff, and people will probably just resort to piracy because like they're just not going to want to, like, is it worth subscribing to Netflix just to watch Stranger Things when I can just pirate Stranger Things? You got Google Stadia coming with the subscription. I know I don't pirate. No, I'm just saying the subscription services are coming in so strong for everything that I can't. Like, I just have a feeling it's all going to blow up in people's faces. Like, we even talk about music subscriptions. You got Spotify, you got Apple. It's ridiculous. And currently, like right now, like one of my friends is really good with that stuff, so I'm on all of his subscriptions for everything, so I don't have to pay for any of the subscriptions. So it's like I'm great, but for most people, like, it's not going to work. And Daz has a question for you, or not a question, but a statement. He says, "I got a question, Randy baby. I want to fuck Jez up in Mortal Kombat 11." So you got to.
The only fighting game I play is Killer Instinct, and that's because it's the only one I'm slightly good at, or at least vaguely decent. So 1v1 me in Killer Instinct, baby. I don't play Mortal Kombat though.
Marley Online wants to go. Would you play the rumored upcoming Demon Souls remaster? I'm not really too sure. I don't even know if I want to play the Dark Souls game. And
is there JD Demon Souls remaster?
I've heard about a rumored Demon Souls remaster for quite some time now.
Oh wow, that's the game that started it all, right?
Yep, that is the game that started our. And JD Gamer, he says, too many darn subscriptions in play. They'll all be consolidated in 10 years again, potentially. But yeah, that's the show, guys. Jez, it's getting late for Jez, so we gotta get out of here. Want to thank everybody for watching. We had over 430, which is great, especially during July. It's a slow month, So thank for everybody for being in chat, all the comments, all the super chats. It's all great to see. Make sure you hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel if you want more podcasts and more videos. Jez, tell the people what they can expect from you on Windows Central.
From me on Windows Central, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure what I'm working on next week. I'm working on a bunch of guides. I might do a YouTube video next week, which showcases the Xbox app for Windows 10, because not everyone has it yet. You need the May update to get it. So I thought I'd do a video to show the client for those who don't have the May update yet, so you can check it out. Yeah, it's random bits and pieces. Nothing huge happening next week. I still need to think of a topic for my weekly.
That's me thinking of videos, but my vacation from YouTube is over. I took about a week and a half off, so we're gonna be starting getting back into videos every day as much as I can make a video every single day. So we appreciate it, guys, and we will see you next week for another episode.
Rand.
Yes.
I want to pitch a YouTube video to you.
Okay.
I want you to do a top 10 something.
Ooh, a top 10 something.
Top 10 something. Rand's top 10 something. You can choose what it is.
Rand's top 10 Barbie games?
Sure. Why not?
I'll brainstorm. Rand's top 10 something or other. Okay.
I list YouTube videos of my guilty pleasure.
Okay. I'll think of something.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
Top 10 anime betrayals. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Xbox 2 podcast. Later, guys.
Take care, everybody.